Hello and welcome to another quick review. As I promised in my Toy Story 4 review, if you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the description, that my next video would probably be a Spider-Man Far From Home review, and it is. So for this review I'll try and keep the first 5 minutes or so spoiler free, and then I'll get into some spoiler territory. I think I might find it quite difficult to talk about this film without giving specifics and spoilers. But I'll try my best, and if I do anything, I'll edit it out anyway. So I promise there'll be spoiler free until I say there will be spoilers. Okay, so first of all, I'm actually find it quite difficult to talk about this film because I'm still not quite sure how I feel. I felt that a lot with all the Marvel films for this year. If I look at my Letterboxd now, I'll give them all the same rating. I'll do a review. I'll do a star review as I did in Toy Story 4 review, but whatever. But essentially, I gave them all the same stars. And I don't know whether that's just me playing it safe or I feel like a bit like Marvel may be losing their edge a bit, and there's a lot of just sometimes, especially in maybe this film and Captain Marvel, is a bit of a copy and paste kind of formula, which might seem to work. But I'm finding it quite frustrating at the moment. I am a fan of the majority of Marvel projects, but I don't know, maybe it's time to move on. I don't know. I feel like I want to see what the roster is for their new phase. I think it's phase 4 now, I don't know, because Spider-Man marks the end of phase 3 and they haven't announced a lot. I presume the next one will be Black Widow, which I'm just really not interested in. She's dead. Don't really care. I already know the outcome of the film. She's not going to die. Maybe a B character who gets introduced in the beginning dies, and whatever the villain, maybe if the villains are set up for a future film, that's the only way it will work, really. But what's the point of a setup film? I just don't understand it, to be honest. I think it's a bit too late for a Black Widow film, in all honesty, but whatever. Let's talk about some of the performances. Again, with performances, it's really hard to call because some scenes with like Tom Holland and Zendaya, it's really awkward and sometimes not convincing acting wise, but I don't know whether that's on purpose, because obviously there's awkward teenagers in a relationship, and it's just throughout the film I just felt like, do you want me to cringe or do you want me to laugh, or what do you want me to do? Because a lot of the jokes are just not funny. Actually, all the jokes are not funny, I don't think I laughed really. But yeah, tonally it's just a bit strange. It's hard to place where this film was kind of going for. I'll talk about the first 5 minutes, this isn't spoilers, but there's a bit of an in memoriam to all the Avengers who are lost in Endgame at the beginning, and it's made on like Windows Movie Maker, and it's got loads of blurry pictures and watermarks and stuff, which, fine, that's a joke, I guess, but it went on for about 2 minutes, and I was just like, okay, I got it with the first one, I don't know if I need another one. And I feel like Deadpool especially has just left a shit stain on superhero projects where they think they need to be edgy and funny. And tonally sometimes that can be alright, but in a Spider-Man film it's just a bit weird. I feel like, I don't know what they're doing, to be honest. And I don't know what's going on with Sony either, with how they own Spider-Man. But I've heard rumours that they might just pull out after a third Spider-Man and just take Tom Holland back to Sony or something. Or take Tom Holland Spider-Man and just recast him. Which is just, I can't see that happening really, but it's crazy because of all the Spider-Man spin-offs or whatever that they're producing. Like Venom, and there's a Morbius, is that his name? I don't give a shit. Is that the guy from Matrix? I don't care. Anyway, just producing just shit projects just because it's got a name attached to Marvel. And that's kind of the future of the MCU. I think they're just going to They really could just film a man on the toilet for about an hour and a half and then make £1 billion. This film will easily break billions of pounds, but whatever. Now I'm just chatting shit. I think I'll get into some spoilers. So you have been warned. So some spoilers now. First of all, if you have even a little bit of knowledge about Spider-Man and kind of the villains like Mysterio, you could probably quite easily predict the plot of this film, and I feel like I did. It's not a genius plot in any stretch. Mysterio is the villain, and at first I was watching the film and I was thinking these VFX are a bit shit, because they looked really unconvincing, and then it was revealed that Mysterio was essentially using VFX. I was like, okay, and it kind of got a bit better, but it didn't really. The VFX I just really hate the body replacement VFX like they did in Black Panther, etc. I just don't think it works, and they haven't quite got it right yet. They really either need to commit 100%, or, well, they don't really, because they can't do it right. They basically just need to try and use practical effects as much as possible, and I don't know if they're lazy, haven't got the money, but really, if you're making these massive projects, you should really try and make it look as best as you can, really. And that kind of speaks for itself. I don't know if anyone knows about this, but the Endgame re-release, they basically re-released a not fully rendered Hulk, which looks really crap. It's literally looks like it was made by a YouTube channel from India or something who make Marvel spin-off videos. Don't know why I said India specifically, I'm not a racist. Yeah, so the VFX are just weird. And then plot-wise, it's a bit, the first 5 minutes is actually ridiculous. I felt like I had a fever dream, genuinely. So Mysterio gets introduced, and he basically says he's with Samuel Jackson, and they have a really shit character who keeps getting plugged into every Marvel film, even though I just really don't give a shit why. Whatever, Samuel Jackson, what's her face visit, some natural disaster site. Mysterio's there, and he's like, "Well, you don't want to be here." And it cuts to black, and then Mariah Carey starts playing, and then the Eden Memoriam part starts. I was like, what is going on? And then for about another half an hour, the pacing's quite strange. There's some scenes which are dragging in, and then you're just like waiting for the action. And all throughout the action scenes, I was just like, yeah, we know Mysterio's not the good guy, so why does it take an hour for us to find out that he's not the good guy? Throughout this fight, so I was like, I know he's not the good guy, so why do I whatever. But then, yeah, also I should mention, throughout the first act even, and maybe throughout the second act a bit, it's basically a Tony, or throughout the whole film, it's basically a Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. homage for about an hour and a half. And I was a bit concerned. I did make a video last month about my concerns of bringing back Tony Stark in some way, and they didn't do that, which was good, but they did do that. They did really want you to remember that he's dead, and Spider-Man should follow in some respect. But it's just, I wasn't really that emotionally invested when it happened in Endgame, and I don't really care now. This is a Spider-Man film. I came to watch Spider-Man, not Robert Downey Jr.'s face over every wall and poster and whatever. But I just find it really frustrating, because Spider-Man specifically has so much potential, especially in terms of some creative shots, and they do that to some extent. And if you've played the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 game, you completely understand where I'm coming from when they do the cutscenes where Spider-Man kind of like spins through stuff, and they do that a bit, but they have so much potential, and I feel like they waste it a bit. The coolest part in the film actually is when Mysterio does his little, I don't know how to describe it. When Mysterio does his VFX stuff and Spider-Man is trapped in the world or whatever, and there's a lot of cool imagery. It's quite similar to Doctor Strange in like the shadow dimension, whatever the fuck it's called. That's about as far as they go in terms of creatively, I would say. But it does look very good, actually. It doesn't look very good. It looks good, and it's a little bit of creativity which you might lack a little bit in Marvel films nowadays. But it's literally exactly the same as Doctor Strange. They're not trying anything particularly new, and then this whole film I feel like they weren't trying anything particularly new. And in terms of the ending, the first ending anyway, I won't talk about the post-credits just yet, but the ending, Spider-Man has his spider senses on full OP, and now my concern is that Spider-Man might become a bit like Captain Marvel, where they're both just really OP, and it's quite hard to balance them because he basically just he sees all the invisible drones with his spider sense and dodges all these bullets, and I just feel a bit like, yeah, they're getting a bit. It's hard to feel any tension when a character is, or a superhero is, so good at what they do and they have very limited flaws. I felt especially in Captain Marvel in this case, especially at the end, where there isn't really I don't necessarily want a big fight, but there wasn't really a big fight which just blows up everything. And there was a bit with Spider-Man, but at the end we find out he's super OP. So there isn't a lot of tension really in the potentially a third Spider-Man. I just won't feel like there's any dangerous stakes. But let's talk about the post-credits now. So Mysterio recorded a secret message of Spider-Man and revealed his secret identity, which I was just like, okay, it's an interesting way to go for sure. If Tom Holland didn't take off his mask literally every scene in the public place, like he was on London Bridge at the end of the film, and he takes his mask off, and I'm pretty sure on Tower Bridge there's quite a few security cameras, mate, so you're dunzoed anyway. And it's just really, I get Tom Holland's a good looking guy, you know, but it's not really Spider-Man when he takes off his mask every 5 minutes. I remember there's a famous Stan Lee quote that because Spider-Man covers his face all the time, that it could literally be anyone behind the mask, and maybe they're losing that a bit. But essentially, if you'd watched any of the Spider-Man trailers or clips, you could have predicted the plot. And actually, the majority of the clips were from the first 20 minutes of the film, which was quite surprising, actually. But then I found myself waiting for these clips. And in the future, I'm definitely just not going to watch trailers. I did it a bit of Endgame. I didn't really watch a lot of trailers. But I just felt still that Endgame wasn't really that interesting to me anyway. So, yeah, let me get to my Letterboxd review actually. So on Letterboxd, I gave it 3.5 stars. And you'll probably, if I do more reviews, you'll probably quickly find out that 3.5 to 4 stars is kind of like my safe spot for films which I don't really know where to place. So I gave Endgame and Captain Marvel both 3.5 as well, which is controversial in itself, but yeah, I think this film is slightly better than average, but it's nothing. It won't blow your socks off, essentially. And if you want to find out what happens next in the future of the MCU through this film, you probably won't. There isn't really a big setup. It is revealed that Nick Fury, in this film at least, or maybe in previous films, was a Skrull. Those shapeshifters from Captain Marvel. So that's obviously setting up maybe a Secret Wars film. But I don't really care anymore. To be honest, I just don't care anymore. And let me get up actually a rumoured Phase 4 and see what films I actually care about. Let me have a look. So there's Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I don't really care about the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, to be honest. I thought 2 was quite a bit better than 1, but I find them quite tiring sometimes. I don't find them particularly funny. There's a new Spider-Man, which definitely will be another Spider-Man. Doctor Strange 2. Yeah, same with Captain Marvel. He's a bit too OP, really, and I'm glad the Time Stone's gone, because that made him very OP. Black Widow film, I've already said, I just don't care. Inhumans, I think they did a TV show on Inhumans and it was a massive flop. So, I don't know why they would think it would be a little bit better with a bit bigger budget, but interesting. Again, don't really care. Black Panther 2, I thought Black Panther first one was pretty crap, to be honest. Black Panther 2 won't have to try too hard to beat Black Panther 1, but we'll see. Ant-Man 3, I can't believe they made a trilogy of Ant-Mans. What the hell? That franchise is easily the worst in the MCU. The Winter Soldier, I think that... No, that's not the... I was gonna say that's the Disney Plus show, but it's not, is it? The Winter Soldier film could be interesting. I quite like actually the Captain America Russo brothers film, so if they're in that could be interesting. There's an Avengers film, but I can't read the top of it. I'm just going to presume that's Secret Invasion. I think it is. Just interesting to see how they would set up a Secret Invasion from the films before. But Nova, which has been rumoured for a long time, which would just be like another, like a space opera bullshit. Captain Marvel 2. Who cares? Spider-Woman. It's interesting. Also, that's a good point actually. The multiverse thing was a fake in the trailers and whatever, which we were setting up, which I don't know if they did because a multiverse would be just so hard to pull off and so confusing for an audience member, or I don't know, because it could have a lot of potential really, especially after Into the Spider-Verse came out. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they feel like that story's already been told, but I doubt it because it would make a lot of money. Inhumans 2, don't care. A fourth Spider-Man film is on this roster. Should be interesting. I think it'll probably be definitely gearing up for a Sinister Six film, which is coolio to me. That would be interesting. Doctor Strange 3 as well. Yeah, I just don't really care. There's also like rumours of Shang-Chi. Should be interesting, but there's a lot. It's just I'm literally looking at the potential titles, and they literally all look the same. It's ridiculous. It's just I just can't get behind it anymore. I can't defend it anymore. It's just a formula that they are literally shitting out at the moment. And granted, that was the last film of the year, but from now on they'll probably pump out like 4 films a year, just to completely dominate. I'm just fed up with it, to be honest. If they're not really taking any risks, then it's literally the same story over and over again with a different title and a different cape, basically. But whatever. And that's probably how I'd sum up the film. Whatever. If you don't enjoy this type of content, don't worry, the normal content will resume shortly. But if you do, maybe consider dropping me a cheeky subscription, or maybe a like. That would be nice. I think I'm 1 off 25. If I get 25 subs, that'd be wow. Buzzing. But yeah, I think my next video rather will not be a review. With some hope, there's not a lot of things coming out, I don't think, which I'm particularly interested in. I did actually want to watch is it Midsummer, something like that, the director of Hereditary. I might watch that. That might be a review on here, but I'll see you in the next video, whatever it is anyway. Goodbye.